Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast. It's the CFML News Edition. It's episode 145, April 26, 2022. I'm Gavin Pickin, Senior Developer for Auto Solutions, and I'm joined by Daniel Garcia, another Senior Developer Auto Solutions. How are you doing?
You know, Gavin, if I was any better, I would be you, my friend.
That's funny. My wife always says, if I was any better, I'd be effervescent. And that's pretty much her. She's a ball of rainbow love and joy.
And I think she's watching the podcast right now.
Nope, actually she's not. She never will. She doesn't even know what I do, but she's like, something with computers, I think. Yeah, I'm the IT dude. So
my 8-year-old got excited. He's like, Daddy, I helped your podcast. I subscribed.
That's cool.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, hey, if we do a few more subscriptions, we'll get over that 500 mark, I think. But yeah. Okay, well, speaking of thanking our sponsors, Auto Solutions, that's actually one of the ways you can help us. But Auto Solutions, obviously, they're our employer. You might know them for things like CodeBox, CommandBox, ForgeBox, TestBox, and a lot of other box products out there. So a few ways you can say back to Autos are...
Yeah, absolutely. You can like and subscribe to our videos on YouTube, like the one you're watching right now.
Hopefully.
You can help Ortus reach for the stars, star and fork our repos. In fact, we even have a little GitHub, CommandBox GitHub module that Eric wrote that makes it very easy. You run it, you start it, and you're good. You can subscribe to our podcast on your podcast apps and leave us a review. You can sign up for a free or paid account on CFCasts, which is releasing new content every week or as much as we can. And then you can also buy Ortus's book, 102 CodeBox HMVC Quick Tips and Tricks on Gumroad, which is a pretty good book. I read it. I like it. And I can recommend it.
Yeah, no, it's a good book. I like the format. You know, it's almost like a cookbook, right? You know, there's little snippets, just enough to get, you know, a problem solved. All those little tips that, you know, some of the people that use it all the time, like Luis, and, you know, and some of the other Autos people, we might take for granted. So hopefully that's, you know, a good little resource there. Also, absolutely. Yeah, so that's just some ways you can say thanks back to Autos. But I always like to add too, it's like, you know, a lot of those things are free. You know, you can like and subscribe to videos, fork us, star us, you know, file issue requests, pull requests on documentation. A lot of that stuff it's all helpful. You know, we want to make the community better. That's the key in, you know, helping us help the community. It's all good. But we also have some amazing Patreon supporters that are providing 92% of the funding for this podcast. And if you go to patreon.com/autosolutions, you can find out more about those different packages, and we'll tell you a little bit more about that later in the show. But right now we have 35 Patreons providing 92%, which is awesome, really. That just means Autos is basically producing this podcast, and you guys are paying for it. And so we really appreciate that. And we appreciate everybody in the chat, too. So we got David Ballinger. Haven't seen you on here for a little bit. Thanks, David. Yep, and Scott Steinbeck. And PAI Industries. I'm not sure who's behind that. You say hi, let us know who you are. And then Peter and Mary's in here as well. So there's lots of cool people in here. Join the YouTube chat. We try and keep up with that.
Everyone must be west of me because they're all saying good morning. Except Will. Will just said hi, and it's probably good evening for Will.
Yeah, Will's like, I'm stayed up late for this. Like, what's up? Oh, Daniel, he is there too. So,
hey,
anyway.
Daniel.
Yep, exactly. David's, Daniel's, people everywhere. Okay, well, let's get into the news and events. So the big one for us is new Into the Box dates almost announced. Shall we say almost?
Almost.
So they're in concrete that is slowly drying. We have updated the Into the Box website for the new dates. And we're just waiting on the final contracts to be signed. So I put that little thing there right there just because we haven't officially blogged it yet. We're just waiting for those contracts to be signed just to make sure. But, you know, we're happy to announce that we have those dates, and the new venue is going to be awesome. We're just, again, waiting for that final thing. But the reason you may be asking is like, why did you guys change the dates? So a little background there. Some of you may have known that Adobe semi-officially announced their dates on Twitter, kind of, sort of, because the tweet disappeared. But basically, the conference is going to be right up against our conference. It was going to be back to back. And I don't know about you, Daniel, but if I left for Into the Box for a week and then flew pretty much straight to Vegas for another week, my wife would definitely think I was up to no good. So that was not going to work, right?
My wife would enjoy the vacation.
Yeah. Mine's like,
For
it
me.
takes, yeah. My wife would usually say, if you take a couple of kids, it's okay, but,
Yeah, exactly, right.
yeah, so, so basically, we believe at Otis that, the Cold Fusion community deserves more in-person conferences. The members need the opportunity to speak and attend more, in-person Cold Fusion conferences. And so if we left them back to back with only a travel day in between, it would be hard for many, almost, probably a lot, or maybe everybody really, of the Cold Fusion community to be able to attend both. So really, changing the dates, it still may be hard or impossible for a lot of speakers, sponsors, and community members. We know, like, it's hard, but at least by moving the dates and giving that buffer, almost a month between them, those percentages should have increased, and maybe now some people might be able to attend both. And if that's the case, then both conferences will be more successful, and that'll help the
Absolutely.
community. At the end, if we all win, if Cold Fusion wins, and so that's more important for us. So, we don't like having to change and everything, but yeah. So another thing to announce about this, though, is as David Bellinger just said in the chat, let's go back to March. Well, so we're not saying March, but we've decided that Into the Box had a better time earlier in the year when it didn't clash with CF Camp and school going back, summer vacations, all that fun stuff. And so remember, we had Into the Box even basically right up to the pandemic. We started going earlier in the year, and it worked better. And the only reason we pushed it from last year, from May to September, was because of COVID. So we are planning to have Into the Box, earlier in the year, so we don't have any clashes with conferences. So that was the big thing. So
Oh,
yeah,
Will just posted CF Camp is also thinking of moving to May, June.
yeah. So right before COVID as well, CF Camp was going to be switching from October into June. They were looking at that just because of availability, and Oktoberfest is pretty busy, in October. Anyway, so when they start having theirs, we're not sure when they're going to be, but we have talked about it at Otis. We did want to go back to the start of the year. We don't want to have these possible clashes with Adobe, and then again CF Camp if they come back, or other things. So that is the plan. We're working on that too, and we will have an announcement by Into the Box. We should have the dates for the next one sewn up, and hopefully we don't have anybody else dropping their conference on us. But again, Adobe hasn't officially released their dates, but it does look like they're planning for in October. So right now, we're going to be planning to have it September 6th through the 8th. September 6th through the 8th. So we'll tell you a little bit more when we get down to that section. But because of that, Daniel, you want to tell us what we did to the call for speakers deadline, since I talked a lot about Into the Box dates changing, but since they changed, we changed the call for speaker deadline too, right?
Yep, absolutely. So we're pushing back or extending the call for speaker deadline to the end of this month, I believe.
Yep, April 30th. Yep.
Yep, as my show notes magically get updated before my very eyes. So you still have some time. You still have through this weekend, through Saturday. Man, Sunday is May 1st. Holy
Yeah,
cow.
I know, it's kind of crazy. So, but anyway, wanted to make sure everyone had a little more time. I know the date flux thing might have put a hold on everyone submitting, so please submit. We want to have more speakers there. We want opportunity for more speakers, and it's great to see community members speaking about things. And I think Eric mentioned last week about if you're not sure about a certain technology and you'd like to learn more, sign up for a talk about it, and you will learn, because you will face the, what do they call it? The chaos monkey, the deadline, the panic monster. Yeah, the panic monster, the chaos monkey. Yeah, all those types of things where basically you're forced to live up to a deadline. Deadlines are great for that, and sometimes the best way to learn something is to teach it. And even for something that you think you know, and when you start teaching it or trying to explain to someone, it becomes a lot more clearer to you because you have to, put it in terms that someone else might understand. And so we really encourage it, and that's how I started too, way back when. Basically start with a little talk, and go on up from there. So, and if you want practice or you're scared of doing an in-conference talk, online CF meetup, Charlie Earhart is looking for speakers all the time, and I think the Hawaii meetup is always looking for speakers too. They're trying to get more stuff. CFUG at Mid Michigan is they always have people doing remote sessions. So there are places to get practice. There are places to get experience, and maybe you could run through it beforehand, before you get to ITB as well. So highly recommend that. Anyway, enough about ITB for now. So what else do we have, Daniel?
Okay, well, we have Adobe announced their Adobe Developer Week 2022. It's going to be July 18th through the 22nd. It is online, virtual, and free. So online as in not in person, virtual as in not in person, but free as in free for everybody. So it's going to be bigger, back, and better than ever. They're still getting their list of speakers and sessions up there. They do have the speakers listed up there right now, but that's for last year. So keep your eyes on that space. I'm sure there'll be all sorts of social media announcements as well.
Yep, very cool. I knew they were going to be announcing that soon. And again, they're trying to spread our content out, and that's what we did with Audis as well. We had the Audis Developer Week was at one time of the year, and then about 6 months later we had it into the box. And this virtual stuff, we had so many conferences we held off on that, but I'd like to bring that back too. Get some more of those speakers that can't travel to the US, especially with COVID times, speaking more. So it'd be great to see. So absolutely. I'm excited for the Adobe Developer Week. And, that's only a few months before their conference. I'm excited to see what they're going to showcase there. Okay, so we had a little announcement from Lucy. So apparently the last blocker for the 5.9 release was apparently solved yesterday. And they said
nice.
The stable release will be tomorrow. But they said that yesterday, so that means today. So we have a little preview here. I'm going to share my screen again for those watching. So they have the Snapshot Installers. And so, it walks through everything here. So, basically the snapshot is up on command box here. Brad says it's looking really solid, so hopefully they'll cut that release. So 5.3.9 hopefully will be out today. We instantly update on command box. We have some ties in with Lucy, so as soon as they publish, ForgeBox gets updated, which is amazing. So you guys can get that up and running and tested really soon. We also have a new beta for the S3 Lucy extension 2.0.0.7.1. So they were using an older, less maintained JETS 3T library, and it was causing some problems. So they got a new beta out for the 2.0 branch, and we're going to be sharing the link here with you. So if you want to go into Lucy Administrator, you can actually load that right in there. Here's the link in here. The only known issue they said when upgrading, it seems to be an error with the JETS property file. So if you restart Lucy, it should work. So you guys are looking for a new S3 provider, try that one out. Man, lots of stuff today. There's lots of news.
There is. This is good, right?
Yeah, for sure.
More news and less news.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited for this next one. CF Break is back. So Pete Freitag has a once weekly email newsletter for the ColdFusion CFML community. Sends that out every week. We'll post the link so you can subscribe. It's kind of funny. I was subscribed to his former newsletter, and I hadn't heard anything in a while. I just got this again last week. I'm like, oh, great. There's a new one. I'm already subscribed. Awesome. So we like Pete. Pete does great. Sign up.
Yep. So if you come in here, you'll see the more recent ones. And so this email, again, share my screen for those watching. He says, this is Pete. You're receiving this email because you signed up for your CFML monthly newsletter, a few years ago, and he hadn't posted it to it for a couple of years, so he rebranded it, and hopefully you'll like this. And what I did like about it was that it's basically a breakdown of like everything in the ColdFusion community. So, I mean, He's got stuff from Charlie, the Cold Fusion blog, Ben Adele, Modernize Adobe podcast. It's us. Got some stuff from Adam Cameron, the TerraTech stuff, which, yeah, I didn't even see some of these popping up on Lucy. I'm sorry, Lucy on Twitter. That, yeah, he had actually interviewed Luis Mahano about some books. And so I think you said, it's like, what? We've got 4 new books? I didn't know about those.
I learned something new.
Yeah, we gotta listen to other people's podcasts just so we can learn what Luis is doing, because he's always doing lots, and it's hard to keep up with that man. But also the Lucy community site, so this is Discourse, and then Audis community, the Discourse stuff as well. And he's tying into the Stack Overflow stuff, and then he has a function of the week. So I wonder if he copied this from us, maybe for module of the week, CF Docs function of the week. But I like it, so some of these things.
Pete's in the chat right now saying "woo."
Yep.
So thank you, Pete, for putting this together.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, to be honest, like, Pete, if you can get it out at like Tuesday morning, that'll save me some work getting this ready for the podcast, because you're pretty much doing everything I do. So
oh man,
schedule it for me, man.
Man.
Yeah, but
as soon as you sign up here with your paid donation to
hey, Audis might be willing to pay that, it saves me some time getting this ready. But of course, Pete is Foundio, essentially, basically the security experts in the Cold Fusion arena. And he's got some great tools too, like FuseGuard is amazing, Fixinator is really amazing, and HackMyCF has been around for a long time. It scans your domain daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly, and sends you reports saying which things you may need to be looking for updating. But Fixinator is amazing. His stuff is all amazing. He's great. He's a great speaker, and I'm sure he'll be at the Adobe Developer Week and CF Summit, and hopefully he has time to make it into the box as well, because we always love having him speak. So anyway, it's a great service. Curated emails are awesome, and the newsletters are right there on the site. So
yep, I just gotta say, if we're not making him blush yet, Pete's a great guy, awesome guy, very smart, and scares the hell out of me when I take some of his sessions at at these conferences. I'm like, wow, I need to do better. Actually, I have done better thanks to Pete's presentations. Like, oh, these are better practices, and it's great. So please keep doing what you're doing, Pete. We all appreciate it.
Yep. I always say, if you walk out of a security talk and you're not scared to death, then you weren't listening, or you needed to go see a new presenter, because Pete always does that to us. It's good. And his workshop, he did a workshop before CF Summit a few years ago. I took that. It was really awesome. So, anyways, back to the news.
Enough Pete love.
Yep.
Okay, so also CF Wheels has joined the open source collective. So if you want to support CF Wheels, you can go on the open source collective. Allows them to raise, manage, and spend money transparently.
Yeah, very cool. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Now, for those that didn't know, this is how Lucy actually is running up on the open source collective too. And so a little bit of information here on CF Wheels blog. But if you go to open source directive here, you can see it goes straight to CF Wheels. And so you can see the different packages. It's very similar to Patreon, but the big difference from what I can tell, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I probably am, it shows you a little bit more about who's donating, how much, when. It actually has transactions, so you can see the balance that's in the account, how much is raised, and any dispersions. It'll show you who's dispersed, what to where, which is all pretty cool. So obviously CF Wheels just got started here, but if we pull up Lucy, you can see right here. And so the cool thing about this is it's really open. And so you've got lots of different packages here. You can see who signed up to which packages. You can see top, contributors. And it's really clear. Like, basically, if you're contributing to an organization like this, you want to know where the money's going, right? So this shows where it comes from. But also, if you scroll down, you'll see the budget. So you can see, you can see expenses. You can see the transactions. See when each person, actually paid or whatnot. And so they're trying to be very, very, transparent. So it's not one of those things where money just disappears. Basically money disappears and you don't know where it went or what it went to. And a lot of people have the same issue with nonprofits. Like, I know there was a lot of backlash to things like Red Cross and whatever before in certain disasters. But, this sort of spells out, how much money, total raised, dispersed, estimated budget, etc. So, you can look and see. So, anyway, so it's cool that they're on there. It's it looks like a great platform, And if you are a CF Wheel supporter, and apparently they've been having people wanting to donate to the cause, now there's a great way to do it. And then, yeah, everybody can see. And I think you can do it anonymously if you don't want the credit, or you don't want everyone to realize you're only donating $3 or something. But, you know, it is what it is.
Speaking of CF Wheels, if you have CF Wheels questions, Peter Amiri's in the chat, and I'm sure he'd love to answer any questions you have.
Yep. Yeah, actually, way back when I was looking at frameworks, you know, there was Framework 1, Coldbox, and CF Wheels. Those are the three big frameworks when I was reevaluating after my homegrown framework for years. I finally ran into enough pain points about it and trying to get new people to join our team. I evaluated them. And at that time, all the people that were big in CF Wheels had left and gone to Ruby. You know, like I think it was Chris Peters. He was a big part of it, and CF Wheels was built on top of, you know, Ruby Rails type stuff. It looked great, but we're basically right between maintainers, and now, you know, Peter and I think Tom have taken over the last few years, and they've really revived it, and it's really great to see we've got, you know, another top quality framework, you know, like, because again, you know, we love Coldbox obviously at Audis. We built it our way, but it's great to have, you know, options for the community. We want the community to do well and thrive, and having more frameworks like that is great. So it's good to see them growing, and yeah, support your frameworks, support your open source people. So
support your friends.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, if you guys are using Adobe Cold Fusion and you're being holding off on updating to Adobe CF 2021, you might have another reason to. So Fusion Reactor has a Adobe Cold Fusion hot sale going on right now, just for the end of the month, basically giving you 25% off compared to the full price. So if you have an old version, CF 9, 10, 11, 2016, you know, basically lots of different options. Now, it does require you to be a member, I think, or like a user of Fusion Reactor. So if you're not a Fusion Reactor customer right now, you know, prices start from $19 a month. Go check it out. It's a great tool as well, and save some money on Adobe Cold Fusion. Yeah.
And if you're not using Fusion Reactor, why not? That's another awesome tool.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple tools in the area, but we definitely like Fusion Reactor. They've got a lot of great things going for them. And it's not just Cold Fusion. And if you haven't seen what it can do, these videos here, Charlie does a great job. He does a lot of presentations on Fusion Reactor because Charlie troubleshoots for a living. That's what he does, and he uses Fusion Reactor and some of the other tools, you know, that are available to help. And so he knows a lot about Fusion Reactor. It solved a lot of problems for his customers, and these two videos are a great place to start. So
it looks like Charlie just posted the Fusion Reactor deals not for another month, but just a few more days.
Yeah, just this end of this month. You're right. So, yep, get on it. If you've got it, go do it.
Do it. You won't regret it.
Yep. Okay. Next up, what do we got?
So, in case you missed it, because I now know what ICYMI means. Last week was the Mid-Michigan. Was it last week? Yeah, last week was the Mid-Michigan CFUG. John Farrar presented on 13 ways to modernize Vue 3. Looks like the recording is now available. I think we're going to go ahead and post that in the chat. If you can go ahead and check that out.
Yep. Yeah, so it's good. Vue 3, obviously, a lot of things are moving that way. And so the frameworks are a little slow to catch up to the big change, but it'd be nice to know. I need to learn more about that, so I have that on my to-do list for sure. Okay, and so thanks for the mention, Charlie said, on the videos. Other cool and briefer ones are on the videos page. So thanks, Charlie. So if you're looking at Fusion Reactor and you want just a snippet, look at the videos page. They do have a lot of good content. They actually have a YouTube channel as well. I know that Audis has mentioned them in several videos as well. We're always talking about it. Ben's blogging about it. Brad's been blogging about it. So a lot of great stuff.
If you ever see them at conferences, really nice guys.
Yeah, they are. They're great guys to hang out with. You know, after the conference too, they got a lot of good content on there at their booth. They have some pretty cool giveaways as well. So hopefully we'll see them into the box and CF Summit this year, or maybe at least a representative. I know that it's hard traveling from Europe, but Scott also asks, does Fusion Reactor have any sales on their product at certain times throughout the year? They don't always, but you know, not any regularity, but they do have them sometimes. Thanks, Charlie, for answering that. But yeah, their subscription deals have got pretty good now too, so it's more affordable. And with, they got good pricing for the cloud stuff. Once they added the cloud stuff, I really loved it even more because, it's nice to be able to just get all your stuff in one place and not have to remember where all the logins for all your different sites are, especially if you have lots of clients. So it's very cool to have that. Okay, speaking of Charlie though, we have an online Cold Fusion meetup coming up. So updating the Java underlying Cold Fusion. So this comes up quite a lot. Obviously, problems arise when you're dealing with Java and updates, and Adobe just released some new updates last week. But so Charlie's going to be doing a session here, basically talking about Java updates and how they release them, quarterly, as I mentioned last week. And it's hard to keep up to date with it. So this one will be walking through it, and obviously Charlie is great with his experience here. He helps a lot of people update their JVMs, fix it when they break it, how to get it, how to install it, how to configure it. This is a must-see session for those that are looking after their JVM. So if that's your responsibility in your company, I highly recommend that session. So
And I swear I'm not kissing up today, but Charlie is another guy. If you're at a conference and he's doing a session, go to it.
Yep.
They're always useful. A lot of times you see all sorts of things that you might not have known about, and he's got tons of experience, and it's just really worthwhile. So.
Yeah. And I've talked to Charlie lots of times about the online Cold Fusion meetup and, how he wishes he could have more sessions. And he's like, I've got lots of ideas, but I don't want to make it the Charlie show. I'm like, you could. I mean, I would come every week to watch you talk, Charlie, because you've always got something great to learn and stuff.
Too.
So although he has threatened to make it the Charlie show, we're going to try and step up too and try and add some more talks to the online meetup. So hopefully we can get a little more content there. And again, if you guys are wanting to speak at conferences, it's a great place to start. It's really informal. It's not too scary because you can't see anyone on the other side. You're just talking to like Charlie, basically. So, yeah, very good.
And to just give him one more plug, if your Cold Fusion went boom and you don't know how to fix it, call Charlie. He will help you fix it.
Yep, it's one of those things where it's like, years and years of experience will help him fix something in, sometimes minutes. But he'll also educate you too. He'll explain why it happens and whatever, and you'll end up basically at the end of the day learning something from it too. And his money back guarantee makes it amazing. So yeah, it's like if you're not happy, basically, he'll give you money back. Like how hard could that be to use that? And like if you want to fight your server for a couple of days and then call Charlie, that's fine. But
how much you're gonna spend and waste the time and effort when you can just do it. So.
Exactly. So,
although it is kind of funny, Gab, sorry, we used to joke around that if we messed up our stuff so bad that we had to call Charlie, then we know we messed up our stuff. We couldn't just figure it out. So that's what he's for.
Yep, exactly. And David Ballinger, I think, is making a dig here, but he's saying he's got years and years and years and years ... of experience.
Oh, man.
Yeah, David, he's calling you out, Charlie.
Man. I think David's rates just went up. Next time something goes boom for him.
Yep. Okay, what else we got going
on? Now he's trying to make up for it. Love that, Charlie. Okay. A little too late there, David. Okay, so back on track. Our Ortus webinar for April, I'm actually very excited about. CB Security, Passwords, Tokens, JWTs, with Eric Peterson on April 29th at 11 a.m. Central Time, the only time zone as far as I'm concerned. Learn how to integrate CB security into your apps, whether using passwords, APIs, or a combination of all three. I'm very much looking forward to this webinar.
Yep, that's this week. Oh my gosh, hope he started it.
I guarantee you he'll be ready by 10:59 on Friday at the latest.
To be honest, that might be why he's not doing the podcast today, and I don't blame him. He's probably finalizing it, making it great. Eric's a great presenter, and again, it's free to register, and our library is free up on CFCasts too, so if you look through our webinars page, there's lots of great content in here from over the last few years. So go check out autosolutions.com/events/webinars.
Oh man, now there's some Charlie reminiscing going on. Charlie says he's earned his old man card.
Yeah.
And people are reminiscing. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Well, as long as we don't have to break up any fights, we're all good with that. Mm-hmm. So next up, we have another meetup on Friday. So Friday the 29th. Hawaii's Cold Fusion Meetup group, using Cold Fusion RMs with Nick Kowalski. And again, he's a professor at the Michigan State University. So he's got a lot of experience, 25 years as a Cold Fusion developer, 15 years as an instructor, so he knows his stuff. Great session if you're looking for RM. So go sign up for that at meetup.com/Hawaii Cold Fusion Meetup Group. And the link is in the show notes.
Yep. And speaking of Charlie's online CF Cold Fusion Meetup, we've got a session coming up. The code reuse in Cold Fusion is spaghetti code still spaghetti if it is dry, with our very own Gavin Pickin. Charlie mentioned he's posting this up there. I think he said today. It's going to be May 12th from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific time. Find out the difference between dry code and wet code and what one is better, and more importantly, why. So I'm going to be attending that. I look forward to it because I always learn something when you speak, Gavin.
Yeah, not all of it's good, but most of the time I try and sneak a couple of gems in there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so this is a pretty big presentation, I think. I mean, a lot of people are already reusing code, they don't know it, but there's a lot of different types and ways to reuse code in Cold Fusion, and so I sort of go over the pros and cons of them all and sort of give you some ideas on maybe how you can do it a little better. And there's some things that people would already know, but some things you'll learn. So be a good session. I actually have a couple more planned. Trying to get more content in this meetup for Charlie. Like I said, he runs the show. It's great, and there's a lot of good content out there, and I want to try and start sharing more of it. So but yeah, so this is the first one. So I'm excited to get it up there. It's been overdue, and everyone keeps asking about my API online meetups. I do have those planned. I got a couple of these that are coming out, and then I'm going to be doing the API one. I'm going to go in depth in that, so I'm going to try and do like a little series of the API ones, because if anyone knows me, I jam a lot into a session, and I did a big API one, and everyone was like, can you slow that down and break it up into like 8 things? I'm like, it could be a workshop. So basically, we might do an online workshop 1 month at a time or something. So anyway,
That's awesome.
Yep.
Although it's funny, when I watch your videos, I tend to watch you at 1.5 to 2x speed.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm a little slow sometimes.
No.
Anyways, we have more stuff from Adobe too. So last week, in case you missed it, Mark Takata did the Adobe Cold Fusion Truth, so all about truthiness in Cold Fusion. And that one, I don't know if the recording is only if you've registered, so I need to check my emails and see if they emailed that out or not. And today, there's an Adobe Cold Fusion workshop. It must have happened early this morning, because it's the 26th already in Europe, so it was 9 a.m. Central European time, so that should have happened today. But we have more coming up too. So there's actually a full list of their offerings up on their website. I'm going to share my screen for that. So again, today we had the Cold Fusion workshop, but we also have one on May 24th and then June 22nd. So if you go to the meetus.adobeevents.com/coldfusion, you can get this information, and the webinars are in here too usually. So come check that out and sign up for some workshops. Okay, wow, a lot of news. Sorry everybody, talking, but it's good to share all that good stuff. So next up, we have some CFCasts content updates. You want to tell us about that?
Absolutely. So obviously go to CFCasts.com, but just released, Gavin Pickin, publish your first Forge box package. So he's got a couple of sessions up there, minimum requirements for a package, what happens if your slug for your package isn't unique, and then coming soon, more Gavin, publishing your first Forge box package, more into the series. So yep. I know you did a webinar on this last month. And
yep.
So I think this is kind of more like expounding on that and breaking it out and really diving into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, and sometimes you just want to how do I do this? Or what happens if my slug isn't unique? Or how can I find out which one's unique? So sometimes you just want a little piece, right? You don't want to watch a 1 hour video to figure out something real simple. So that's the beauty about CFCast. It breaks stuff down to little tiny pieces, consumable, and it solves the problem you have right now. It's not like this is everything that you need. It's this, that, very sharp. Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, it's nice to be able to just go grab that one thing. Like maybe you've watched the webinar and you're like, oh, I forgot this one little piece. Go watch that one video. So those two are up there, and we got some more coming. And then, as I mentioned on Twitter, I'm actually going to be converting some of Ben Adele's awesome content, his open source libraries, to ForgeBox modules. He's given me permission, and I'm going to try and record those and share those and show people how to do it. And as Ben said, once I show him, then he's going to do it too. So,
Oh, nice.
Brad did tweet. Yeah, it's really simple. It's just like using npm. You just do a package init, and then you do a, basically a bump dash dash, major or minor or whatever, and then push it, and away you go. But I want to show the sort of the process of taking Ben's code and then publishing it, and then like, okay, how do we make it to a ColdBox module and then publish it? And then how do we make a ColdBox module with module settings and then publish that? And then that way, it can evolve and we can make it even more utilitarian and work with multiple frameworks. So that'll be probably its own little series, but I'm going to get the video out there and we'll be trying to release that soon as well. But your first ForgeBox package is the one we're working on now, and then after that will be like converting existing libraries or stuff like that. So,
and I was actually fortunate to get the live pre-alpha version of that in our retreat.
Yep.
There you helped me figure out some things.
Yeah, I mean, well, you did most of it yourself. I mean, it was a great module. But yeah, Daniel got his first module published at the retreat, and I showed him a couple of the little tricks, and those are the little snippets that are in these series. So it's great. Okay, conferences and trainings.
Okay, we've got several coming up. The first one is DockerCon on May 10th. It is a free online virtual conference. It's going to be a very immersive online experience with Docker product demos, breakout sessions, deep technical sessions. They have all sorts of experts, captains, community people. Go ahead and register online. We'll get the link for you. And also, I believe that they're going to have 2 kind of sessions per day, kind of like a morning and an afternoon. Is that correct, Gavin?
Yeah, I think for the workshop, they're going to have a morning and afternoon workshop.
Yeah.
I think for the agenda, which I'm actually going to click on right now, I'm sharing my screen for those watching. So they have, like, on the 10th, we have schedule. It looks like it's all day, I think. But what they do is after hours, I think they have it available so you can watch. So if you're in a different time zone, you'll be able to go do that as well. But yeah, it's a great conference. Anyway.
And then coming up next is the U.S. VueJS conference in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, June 8th through 10th. The title is Beach Code Vue, with a workshop on June 8th and the main conference on the 9th and the 10th. Yep. And I keep hearing rumblings that there might be some Ortus people there potentially. And if there are, maybe other people want to get together and beach code and Vue.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. There's a lot of people using Vue. Vue does mash up pretty well with what we're already doing in Cold Fusion. The format aligns really nicely with the tags. I mean, it's really is a great one to pick up. And it's nice because you can do, single page apps with it, but you can also just do a component too. So, something like React doesn't play so nicely if you just want it one little thing on a page. So, it is looking pretty nice. There are group discounts here you can see as well. So, yeah, we are looking to send some people from Ortus there. I'd love to make it. I've got to fight off the other Ortusians and make sure I can get approval from the family to make it out there. See, I'm just going to try and take the family with me. That way it makes it easier, right? They can't complain if they're hanging out on the beach while I'm in there geeking it out. So, okay. Next up, we have Adobe Developer Week. And so Adobe Developer Week is going to be happening again in July. And so that will be July 18th through the 22nd. It's online, virtual, and free. As we mentioned, the speakers are listed from last year, or at least the title says last year. So we'll get you that information as soon as they release it. But go register, and that way you can get the emails. They're usually pretty good about sending those out as they update information. And then right after that conference. So this is another conference. It's a full stack tech obsessed community of fun, code loving humans who share and learn together. And they geek out in Texas and Wisconsin once a year in person, but they have digital events all the time. And I was surprised at that. But you'll be speaking at the Wisconsin, WM, close enough, Wisconsin conference, July 25th through the 28th. And yeah, you're going to be speaking there, and I'm going to share my screen. So if you guys didn't see the one into the box it was a great session, and so you're building on top of that session. So easier API development and testing using Postman, Website Hook, and grok to enhance your workflow. So I heard a lot of good things about this session. It's on my saved list, so I can watch here soon. I use a couple of these tools, but I'd never heard of webhook.site, so I'm curious to see how that's going.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I was really excited to hear. When I read through it, I was like, dang, you must have been in the other room. I was like monitoring one room, and you're in the other. So, but yeah, it's a great session. It sounds like a really cool conference. So if that's in your area, that's good. If you're in Texas, they have one in Texas. I think it's in May. But again, lots of good content online too. There's so much good content out there. But they look like a good group. But I never heard of it until you told me about it. So.
Oh, they're a great group. They have a very active Slack community. Everyone's, like the Code Fusion community, everyone's really supportive and cool and nice, and they're like that as well. And it's cool. I like them.
Very cool. So, yep. Okay. Next up, what else do we have?
Okay, we've got the CF Summit in person at Las Vegas in October.
Ish.
The official-ish dates are October 3rd and 4th for the conference, with October 5th for an Adobe Certified Professional certification class and test. We say official-ish because we're still waiting for the final. Apparently, their concrete is still hardening as well, but I'm sure they'll be all over the interwebs once they get that figured out.
Yeah, for sure. And they did have dates in one of the tweets. That tweet has disappeared, but Marcus still has the one that it's going to be in person in Vegas in October. And he's excited to hang out with all of us geeks. Old friends make new ones. It's going to be so good. So yeah, so hopefully we'll hear about that soon. They just announced, Adobe Div Week, so I'm sure it'll be, coming up very soon.
Very soon. Also coming up is VueJS Forge. I actually had not heard of this one before. June 29th and 30th, organized by the Vue School. It's the largest on-hands Vue.js event. Team up with thousands of fellow Vue.js devs from around the globe to build a real-world application in just 2 days in this free hackathon-style event. So that's actually pretty cool. It's not just go to a conference and attend sessions. It's get your hands dirty and build something cool. So definitely a neat idea.
Yeah, and so basically they're going to be telling us more about what we're building as we get closer. So register is like the first step, and then you create your little profile, and then once you're in there, they're going to start sending out information, basically information about education or coding challenges to prepare for it. And like I said, this is done by Vue School, which has some great content. And then they'll introduce you to your team. So when you can register as an individual, or you can register with your company, and for that they actually schedule a call. So I don't know if that requires something special. They want you to sponsor something. I'm not sure, but that means you could basically say, hey, I'm going to have like a team audit, or maybe you could have like a group. So if you've got some friends that want to do it together, or sign up individually and just meet some new people. People with different backgrounds, different languages. It might be kind of cool to experience that. So yeah, then you create together, learn together. And then they've got mentors that they're going to be helping you solve it with. So it sounds really cool. And then basically the idea is that at the start of it, on the last 2 days, you jump in there, you get all the code done, and yeah, see if you can finish your project. You'll have a good time. So it sounds really awesome. I'm hoping I can make time for this, and maybe convince some of the other community members. So yeah, I'm really excited. So
neat idea with the whole hackathon. Getting together and building something cool.
Yeah, I've really wanted to do those. They have a few in around Southern California, and it's just hard to get 2 days off work to do stuff. Yeah. But especially if you got to travel to it, because it's not always in my town. I don't live in a big city or anything, so it's kind of nice to have the online version, and maybe I can work around it or something. So
the Vue one is looks like it's a Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, so doesn't interfere with the podcast. Cool.
Yep.
So yeah, and that's right before 4th of July. So if you're slacking already because of the holidays coming, what's a couple more days? Okay, so next up we have Into the Box, and again, solid dates, not completely 100% concrete just yet, and the main reason is because we're waiting for that contract. But as soon as we have that, we will let you know. And early bird pricing is available, so jump in. Sorry, I'm messing up with my my timing on my links here, guys. But yeah, so jump in and get early bird pricing. It's up until April 30th, and then you'll be able to actually get the list of workshops very soon. We're trying to finalize those workshops so we can get those out to you. And then once the call for speakers ends, which we extended to April 30th, we're going to get that schedule out to you very soon too. But have some faith, use the early bird pricing, so we'll reward you for booking before you know who's going to speak. But trust me, it's going to be great. A lot of community speakers, a lot of good Autusians, and our team has grown substantially recently, so we've got even more awesome Autus people to share, like Daniel.
Aww.
And Dan Card, and we got Ellen Quinton, Grant Copley. There's so many good people joining the team, and we're looking for more, but more about that later. Okay, into the box, Latam, December 1st and 2nd. Those are our tentative dates. We'll give you more about that. And then CF Camp, we're waiting. With COVID, we're probably going to be waiting a little longer. I know that just a lot of restrictions everywhere, so... And if you're looking for more conferences, because we didn't list off enough there and you're bored and you just want to have something in the background, comps.tech is great. So if you want to look up here, you can find a lot of cool content. So you see there's like 35 different JavaScript conferences mentioned. You've got 16 performance. Let's see, we got one ColdFusion conference. We should put the Adobe Developer Week in there, everybody. Otis. Adobe should listen, right? Adobe, if you're listening, go put it in there. I just need a pull request to get it in there. Yep, you should. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff. If you're looking at other languages, or a lot of these are just real generic too. They sort of apply to everybody. And so, lots of good stuff. Some are in person, some are online. Go check it out. Comps.tech. Whew, okay.
I just slacked Mark. I said, hey, Adobe Developer Week, comps.tech.
Cool. Okay, let's talk about blogs, tweets, and videos of the week. You want to get us started?
I will. Lots of content here, because apparently you and I are rambling a lot, Gavin, and I'm okay with that. But first one is from the April 25th. It's Mark Takata. For Adobe turning on null support in ColdFusion 2018. So you know that you can always turn on null support within the CF administrator, but then it's going to be kind of a system-wide thing. So he shows you can actually just set it in the application CFC. At this dot, I had it pulled up. Where is it at?
Enable null support equals true.
Thank you. So that way, if you've got lots of applications, we don't want to necessarily turn null support on globally. That's a great way to just target the apps that you need, make sure nothing breaks, make sure it does what you're expecting it to do. So yeah.
Yep, it said keep in mind the way several functions operate changes when null support is turned on in this way. In particular, the is null now returns true for a variable which is null. With null support turned off, is null instead functions as the opposite of is defined. So is it defined or not defined? So yeah, so just be careful with that. And then Scott Steinbeck said, Zach, if you're listening, Lucy needs this. Okay.
So, by the way, I pinged Mark and he already responded saying, did you remind me of this last year too? I said we did. So I'm sure he's going to take care of that. Very responsive, that guy. Okay, so the next blog is from Ben Nadell, considering the separation of concerns when invoking remote API in ColdFusion. So basically it's talking about when he ever has to call out to remote APIs for his data layer, how he wants to handle that, how he wants to kind of standardize that and abstract that out from some of the services. What he's talking about sounds a lot like just basically he's building out setting up a gateway to abstract getting the data so you can standardize what the service is receiving. So it shouldn't really matter where the data is coming from, whether it's an API call or whether it's a local database call.
Yep. Yeah, and so, I mean, he's talking about a lot of this, CF HTTP, because obviously he's sending an API endpoint. And so he's looking at using standard data structure, and just like the response object in ColdFusion, we deal with stuff like status codes and status ticks, and we have error versus is okay, MIME types, data, etc. And so he works through it. But you're right, it does really sound like he's just trying to abstract away how he's getting the data, and then the gateway returns data in a consistent format, so the rest of Zap knows how to deal with it. So that's pretty cool. Like I said, I always like Ben's stuff. He always dives deep and gets into the bottom of it and, explores.
It definitely get a better understanding of the moving parts, which is really, really nice.
Yeah. So, good blog post, as usual. from Ben. Okay. Yeah, so the next one we have is from Ben Edel as well. And this one's going to be array slice. So if you remember, we talked about a tweet where he said stuff went boom. Long story short, but I'll share my screen for those watching. And so he's got a Fusion Reactor APM showing some stuff here. But basically, when he's working on those 2.1 million entries, he had some exponential performance overhead using array slice. And so he worked through that, tries to see what happens with the size of the array and everything. And as usual, there's some gems in the comments too. So if I scroll down, but he shows ways to improve it. But he basically opens a ticket on Jira, talking about different things. But I know Brad talks about this one here. So Ben, is there a reason you don't just use the sublist method of Java's list, which powers the CFML array? And so this one here is way faster on Adobe and Lucy, and honestly what they should both be using under the hood. And so he gave a little gist here up on TryCF, which is great for sharing these types of things, and I pulled it out, and like, as Ben said, oh snap, didn't even know it existed. But yeah, so basically, super fast. So if you're running into issues with the array slice, you should probably use sublist. But anyway, I'll let you read the rest of it. Great blog post again, sharing that, and he filed a bug with Lucy too, so hopefully we can get some updates there. Okay, we have another post. Sorry, go ahead.
Now I say somebody's ears must have been ringing because Mark Takeda has entered the chat.
Yep.
Hello, Mark.
Morning, Mark. How's everything going? I think he's in Pacific time, so I'm right. It is morning still.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so next up we have another blog post here on the Adobe ColdFusion site. This is actually one that Charlie posted way back in 2019, but he has updated it recently, so I wanted to bring it to your attention. So a lot of people have issues with HTTPS, calling out from ColdFusion, and usually it's because the SSL certificates, there's a problem with either the certificate or the certificate store or something, and a lot of people basically, think about importing certificates or whatnot, but sometimes, as Charlie mentions, you may just need to simply update the JVM that it uses. And then that's because some of the base certificates that were in the JVMs, they get out of date. And so if you update to the more recent one, it was good. So this here sort of walks you through it. And again, it has been recently updated, but a lot of times, if you're having SSL issues, it might just be the JVM. So read through this. Try it out if you're struggling. I realized once I updated from some really old servers that were running really, really old code that is no longer supported. If I updated the JVM, things just worked. So maybe it will for you too.
Okay, moving on. Oh, it looks like Charlie officially posted your meetup, Gavin.
Oh, very cool. So now I have a Panic Monster deadline, so I will get it done.
Panic Monster. I am on first name basis with the Panic Monster. For me, his name is Jorge. A relation, I swear.
Yeah, no relation at all. Yeah, we've got a lot of Jorges and Georges at Audis. No surprise. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, so the next tweet from Brad, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's rather unfortunate that CF engines still don't allow for CFCs to extend Java classes. So he's talking about how it's rather unfortunate that CF engines don't allow you to extend those classes. It prevents them from integrating with Java libraries. He posts one where they don't allow interface implementations, but require abstract-based class extensions.
Yep, and so I'll butt in like I usually do. So he was actually looking at using this library, but they just can't. ColdFusion cannot use this library, this Java library, because of the way it works. And so he actually recommends a way that they could maybe make it more flexible. So they could use it from something like ColdFusion, but obviously he's not happy that we have that problem in the first place. But yeah, this library is kind of a cool one. And so it's a liquid templating engine, and it's backed up by Antler grammar. So I think him and Scott were working on some stuff, importing things, passing stuff from like JSON and Markdown and doing other stuff. They're always up to tricky stuff. And they're working on a couple of cool things, but something like this would make their lives easier. And just in general, if we could do stuff like this in ColdFusion, we could, basically go in and pass all sorts of different stuff. Anyway, so it's pretty neat. but unfortunately we can't use it. So, anyways.
No. Well, speaking of our own Brad, he's got another tweet about native Java threading cannot access application, session, or request scopes. And again, he's kind of saying one of the missing pieces for CF devs is using Java threading is the ability to access those scopes through the Java. Codebox kind of works around this, but he's requesting that we get this CF engine support out of the box.
Yep. And so yeah, it's definitely something we need to do, because we should be able to do that, you know. So like obviously we built on the JVM. We should have more tapping into it. You know, that's one of the things that the engines keep promising, and they are delivering, but it's just a few things that we could make our life even better. And Brad will tell you all about it. So that's probably why they ignore Brad over there. The engineers just, tune him out. But no, there's a lot of things that would just, make it a lot easier to integrate. So hopefully that these tickets and everything help, and we can get those integrations working even better.
Hey, sorry I keep scratching my nose. I keep messing up the timing on when I'm thinking I'm off camera, and then I scratch my nose and I see that it's on camera. So
that's okay. No one's watching. We're all listening on the podcast later.
Better.
So, yep. Okay, we also had another blog post from Charlie. So this is basically an update for the updates for Java. So Adobe released them last week, and if you look here, you can find out more information. Charlie will probably step in and correct me, so I won't say too much because I'm less wrong. But yes, you can find out these security fixes here. I know that James Moberg and Charlie were talking about a couple of issues on the download page or whatnot. But again, if you need to be updating, read through it. And then he does have a big beware, so make sure you're looking for that. So note the big catch, I guess, here is Java no longer supports calling out via HTTPS to servers that don't support at least 1.2 or above for TLS. So again, Charlie's the place to go for all this stuff. And if you have questions, come check out his online meetup. That's tomorrow, right? No, Thursday. Oh my gosh, it's already that week. So, yeah. Wow. Okay. We got through it all. So, next
Charlie
up.
Commented. Wait. Charlie commented. Point was that at first the Adobe download site did not have the Java installers. Then they did, but the drop down at the bottom didn't make it clear.
Okay.
So thank you for clarifying.
Yep. Okay, next up. Get CFML jobs. We have a couple new ones here. So if I pull up my screen share. So they're looking for a mid-senior CFML developer in Cleveland, Ohio, and a senior ColdFusion Lucid engineer remote. So a couple jobs here, but you can see there's 75 jobs listed here, and most of them are this year. So there's a lot of great jobs being listed on the site. If you want to post a job, it's free, and we read them every week. And if you do post them to some other job sites, the site does actually scrape them. And again, it's a community member who's running the site, and they got a cool Twitter handle too. So pretty neat to be able to have tools like this built in ColdFusion for ColdFusion.
Yep. And so some other job links go along with that. Of course, Order Solutions are always looking for people. It seems like we're always looking for people. Go ahead and please go to our careers page, check it out. Also, Consortium Inc. is got a job posting up there as well. If you want to go ahead and check that out too. And then there are jobs channels. There is now a jobs channel in the Box Team Slack, and there's also a jobs channel in the CFML Slack. So a couple of additional places you can go to post positions.
Yep. And I did say way too much in that section, and I was supposed to leave more of that for you. Whoops.
That's okay. The question is, who's pasting these links, Gavin? I'll paste the links so you can keep going.
Sorry. Okay. ForgeBox module of the week. So this one here, I'm actually going to talk about myself, because I did this module. So this is a module that came out of Interceptors. So I have a client, and I started adding this cool little pre-mail interceptor all over their sites. They have different apps, and so I keep making this interceptor everywhere. And I got to the point where I'm like, I am redoing this. I am not reusing my code wisely, right? So I built this little module called the CB Services Pre-Mail Filter. So what it does, it's a tool that fires on the pre-mail interception point, allowing you to filter emails being sent out from your application using CB Mail Services. So the cool thing, I think, anyway, is that it supports multiple environments. So you can turn on the filters for just one environment or multiple environments, and you can choose how to override those global settings with just one setting for just one environment, and you can change different things. So basically, I got sick of changing the code everywhere, having to recommit code to do different things, turn things on or off. So now it's all done by environment variables.
Nice.
So here you can basically, change your environment variable in Docker or whatever, and this customer is using Docker Swarm. So if I make a change to an environment variable in their Swarm, it redeploys it. No code changes, but now it behaves differently. So some of the things it does. Again, we have a list of environments. So you can choose the environment. So maybe you want to have like development and staging, do this. And so it's all set up so, it's basically for non-production use. You could use it for production, but it would be kind of one of those weird things like maybe do you really want to? But you could. But usually it's for development or staging where you want to control the emails going out. So usually we just put them all in a folder, but sometimes in staging or QA, you actually want to get the emails. You got to click on the links and follow the workflow, and not everyone has access to the log folder, that we love so much in CBML. So in that case, what you may want to say is, what? Only allow these emails, email addresses to actually get email. So the filter comes in, the email comes in, and if the email address is one of the ones on the list, like you, then the email will send out. Otherwise, it doesn't send because it'll just strip the emails out of it. You also can control the emails that must be sent to. So maybe what you do is you say, no matter what, every email that goes through the system, I want it to always send it to me. So that way I get every email that happens on staging so I can verify, check it, etc. So that's another way that you could do it. And then, so that's the emails that must be sent to. And then you have another one, which is if there are no recipients, who should the email be sent to by default? So in other words, if there's maybe you've got 5 people on your team that the emails are allowed to go to, but if it's an email that's going to none of those people, and so you've removed all the email addresses, you can say if there's no one's going to get the email, then send it to, me, or send it to this email address or something. And you can also prefix emails. So if you want to, you can turn on the prefix, and that'll basically put something in front of the email. So when it sends from development, it'll say, hey, this is development, or it'll send something else. So you can enable the app name, so you can tell it, what's the name of the app, and then the environment, so it shows in front of the email. And that's usually the default. It'll try and do the app name and then the environment. Or if you want to be really specific, you can say this subject prefix is going to override the default. And for all of these, you actually have the option of setting it globally. So this enable subject enable prefix. This will be for all environments that this is enabled for. This one here allows you to basically specifically, it's meant to be an underscore, I need to update the docs. Underscore, then the environment name, it'll basically say, when it's loading, it'll say, okay, I'm in development, I'm trying to send an email, should the prefix be set up? And it'll say, look at the development version of the environment variable first. If that doesn't exist, then it checks the global variable, and if that doesn't exist, it defaults to true. So it's, it's tiered. So try to make it user-friendly. It's great for local development and then your tests, because maybe local you want it to send to you, but when you run your test, you don't want emails to go out, so you can change it for that. So anyway, it's a little interceptor. Works great, and module of the week. So
Nice.
So I'm pretty excited. It's working already pretty nice, and I've already got a million ideas. And I've actually made some pull requests to CB Mail to make it even more controllable. So I'm going to make it so if it's actually going to be sending an email, you can say, oh, if it meets this requirement, put it in the log files. If it actually has a recipient, then use this provider to send the email to somebody. So I want to actually try and control how the mail is sent after the filter is done. Because right now you couldn't do that, but CB Mail services, little pull requests, and now I can control that too. So I'll probably add some regex stuff in there and a few other things. But anyway, so it gives you a little bit more control of your emails getting sent out from your app, where there's development, testing, staging, QA, production, whatever.
Cool. Hey, do we have a VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week?
I guess I should make one up.
It's right
Yeah,
there.
I'm teasing. Okay, so this one, actually, you got a double tip this week. So we have the data the Depot Data Editor by Afterschool Studio. And so basically what it does, it gives you like an Excel spreadsheet style interface to be able to edit your CSV or XML files. It's kind of cool. It does give you a lot of cool options, although the interface may want some work, shall we say. But it's actually pretty powerful. So I recommend you check out the video, which is the bonus for this, is that it was just on the the VS Code live streams webinar just a couple of weeks ago. So there's a whole
Oh,
video with the creator showing you how to use it, how to build stuff. So that's very cool. But yeah, it's basically custom content types. You define your schema in it and use it. The only thing that I don't like about it, but I understand why they do it, is that you'll see that and right here, for those watching, you have example.dpo, which is short for depot. So instead of a JSON file, it's actually a DPO file. And so the reason they do that is because VS Code, with the extension, it triggers it based on the file extension. And so if you had JSON, it wouldn't know if it actually should be using it or not. So you have a JSON file with the DPO extension, and then it'll work. So yeah, that's the only thing I don't like about it. But other than that, it looks pretty cool. There's lots of options. Formatting. It's basically like a little spreadsheet, and you do linking from one tab to another, so you can just sort of do like lookup lists and everything. So pretty cool. So check out that extension. Check out the video on how to use it, maybe before you use it. But pretty neat. Funny thing is, it's like I see that and I'm like, you know what? Content Box, we just built a custom content type editor tool, and I'm like, our one looks way cooler than that. But but it's different. So, but pretty cool. Okay. Patreon supporters. So, last but not least, we got to thank our Patreon supporters, because without them, Audis would be, footing the bill for this entire podcast instead of the few percent left. But basically, the Patreon supporters help Audis do things like the command box, Forge box, code box, content box, test box, and everything else. And most importantly, I think, like Forge box package management with command box and all the cloud infrastructure that makes it work. So really cool, really important. And you can support us at patreon.com/AudisSolutions.
slow the uptick. Our Patreon link.
Yep.
And don't forget, we do have annual memberships, so you pay for the year and save 10%, which is great for businesses or anyone for that matter. So the bronze packages and up, you can get a ForgeBox Pro and CFCast subscription as a perk for your Patreon subscription. All Patreon supporters have a profile badge on the community website, and all Patreon supporters have their own private forum access on the community website. Community website, of course, being community.ordissolutions.com. I'll go ahead and paste that link as well.
Yep, very cool. So, obviously, we mentioned open source collective before, or for CF Wheels. We use Patreon for us, so that's where you can do that. And we try and basically list all of those awesome Patreons every week. Theoretically, they're meant to be at a certain package level before we renounce them. And so while we're getting started, there's less Patreons. We've been reading all of them, but I think we have to draw the line soon, man. I almost run out of breath every time I read these.
Well,
Show's getting longer and longer. Well, yeah, apparently my wife likes it when I breathe, but
I'm just saying, take a breath from time to time. You don't be a hero, Gavin.
maybe, but I go. Well, I guess we'll see. But anyway, we got lots of great Patreon supporters, and we're going to read about them or list them off to you right now, and then we'll tell you how to go view them yourself. So
here we go. And as always, my disclaimer, I apologize if I do not say your name properly. I really do care and I do try, but here goes. So starting up, John Wilson of Synaptrix, Eric Hoffman, Gary Knight, Mario Rodriguez, Giancarlo Gomez, David Bellinger, Dan Codd, Jonathan Parrott, Jeffrey McGee from Sunstar Media 6, Dean Maunder, Joseph Lamery, Don Bellamy, Jan Yannick, Lakshmi Turtahadi, Karavan Stetton, Jeremy Adams, Didier Lesnicki, Matthew Clemente, Daniel Garcia, Scott Steinbeck with Agri Tracking Systems, Ben Nadell, Brett Deline, Kai Koenig, Charlie Earhart, Jonas Erickson, Jason Diger, Sean Oden, Matthew Darby, Ross Phillips, Edgardo Cabezas, Patrick Flynn, Stephanie Mongi, John Wish, Kevin Wright, and Peter Ameri. You can, of course, go and see a list of all our sponsors on the Aura Solutions website at aurasolutions.com/about-us/sponsors.
Yep, for sure. Now, again, we will be updating that list to make sure it's update everywhere. Wait, Sunstar Media 6? There's no 6. There's a typo? Really?
What? Did I...
maybe someone fat-fingered it. Whoops. Okay, Sunstar Media. Sorry, James Moberg just pointed that out. I wonder how long that's been there. I think it's been there a while. So, sorry, Jeffrey, we've been promoting the wrong company, but
it's still a cool name. Sunstar Media is still a cool name.
Yep, but yeah. So thank you to all of your Patreon supporters, spending your hard-earned money to support us and this podcast and all the Audis things. We appreciate you.
We do.
Yeah, and hopefully again that we can see some of you out there into the box if possible. And I'm trying to actually organize a little Patreon meetup at the conference so we can sort of get the Patreons together and make a little event just for us. But we'll see. I'm trying to do that. We'll see how that works out with the schedule and everything else. But I think it'd be pretty neat. Regardless, if you guys are there, definitely come say hello. A lot of them are familiar faces, and I've met you guys before. If I haven't, come say hi. We want to thank you in person. So.
And as always, thank you to everybody on the live chat. Definitely make this a lot more engaging instead of Gav and I just talking with each other. And so it's nice to get everyone involved, and we appreciate all of you, and thank you very much for that.
Yep. And one more thing. Obviously we have a podcast. There's a CFL Live podcast and the Working Code podcast too by Ben Nadal, Tim Cunningham, Adam Tuttle, and then Carol Hamilton. And I just went back to start listening to all the older episodes again because I've listened to them over the last couple of years. They've got like 73 episodes out there now, that Working Code podcast. But it's a great podcast. I just wanted to remind everybody that it's there. We don't post it every week because usually Ben's got 4 or 5 blog posts anyway, so we don't post it. But it is a great podcast. Go check that one out as well. A lot of good content. It's evergreen content too, so the first episode's still relevant now. And so, check out those other podcasts too. They're all great content, good things, and support the community. Let's build them up. So just wanted to have a little plug there. And you guys have a great week. Enjoy all the webinars. This week is doing really good. There's got like three coming up. So Charlie's on Thursday, and then we've got the one from Nick and Eric on Thursday, I believe. So check them out, people. Have a great week, and we'll see you soon.
See you guys. See y'all. Take care.
Bye. Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.